Have you ever pondered the rise and fall of one of the most powerful city-states in the ancient world, Carthage? Let's embark on a journey back in time to the year 814 before Christ, to the northern tip of Africa. Here, nestled in the cradle of the Mediterranean Sea, Phoenician settlers established a city that would become a beacon of cultural, commercial, and maritime prowess: Carthage. Carthage's geographical location was its trump card. Its position on the coast of modern-day Tunisia allowed it to control maritime traffic in the western Mediterranean. The city was ideally placed to exploit the region's wealth of resources and to establish trade routes with the burgeoning civilizations of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. The Phoenician settlers who founded Carthage were known for their seafaring skills and business acumen. These traits were woven into the fabric of Carthaginian society, and the city soon grew prosperous through trade and commerce. The influence of Phoenician culture was palpable in Carthage. It could be seen in the city's architecture, in its religion, and in the Punic language spoken by its inhabitants. In its early years, Carthage was a melting pot of cultures. It was a place where East met West, where the sophistication of the Phoenicians blended with the raw energy of the Mediterranean. This fusion of cultures was a catalyst for innovation and progress. It was the force that propelled Carthage from a modest settlement to a city of grandeur. But the city's location and cultural richness alone didn't guarantee its rise. It was the strategic decisions of its leaders, the resilience of its people, and the city's ability to adapt to changing circumstances that truly set the stage for its ascent. So here we are, at the dawn of a powerful city-state that would shape the course of history. The stage was set for Carthage to become a dominant power, but what factors led to its rise? Carthage didn't just stumble upon power, it was a calculated rise, driven by a combination of strategy, commerce, and military prowess. In the ancient world, power was often synonymous with territory, and Carthage was no exception. The city-state began its expansion around the 9th century BC, spreading its influence across the Mediterranean. But unlike other empires of the time, Carthage's expansion wasn't solely about conquest. It was about establishing beneficial trade networks, securing vital resources, and creating strategic alliances. Carthage's strategic location on the coast of modern-day Tunisia was at the heart of its success. Its position allowed it to control maritime routes, becoming a hub for commerce and trade. From precious metals and ivory from the African interior to the abundant grains of Sicily, Carthage became the middleman in a vast network of trade routes that spanned the Mediterranean. But trade and commerce weren't the only tools in Carthage's arsenal. The city-state also possessed a formidable military force, particularly its navy. The Carthaginians were renowned for their naval prowess, and their fleets were a common and imposing sight throughout the Mediterranean. They pioneered maritime innovations such as the quinquereme, a massive warship powered by 5 rows of oarsmen. These vessels were the backbone of the Carthaginian navy and a testament to their naval dominance. Key figures also played a crucial role in Carthage's rise to power. Queen Dido, the legendary founder of Carthage, is a prime example. Her shrewd leadership and diplomatic acumen set the foundation for Carthage's future success. Later, figures like Mago, the renowned military strategist, and Hanno the Navigator, who explored and established trade routes along the African coast, were instrumental in consolidating and expanding Carthage's influence. Carthage's rise wasn't without its challenges, of course. The city-state faced opposition from various quarters, including the powerful Greek city-states and the emerging power of Rome. But through a combination of diplomatic maneuvering, military might, and economic strategy, Carthage managed to not only survive these challenges, but also thrive. The city-state's influence continued to grow, and by the 4th century BC, Carthage was the dominant power in the western Mediterranean. Its territories stretched from North Africa to Sardinia and Sicily, and its navy was unrivaled. The city itself was a marvel, with grand temples, a bustling harbor, and a population estimated in the hundreds of thousands. In conclusion, Carthage's rise to power was no accident. It was the result of strategic planning, economic savvy, and military strength. The city-state leveraged its geographical advantage, developed a robust trade network, built a powerful navy, and produced leaders who were able to navigate the complex political landscape of the ancient Mediterranean. With its naval dominance and thriving economy, Carthage was a force to be reckoned with. But how did it fare when faced with the might of Rome? If you're enjoying this video, then please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. The Punic Wars, a series of 3 wars fought between Rome and Carthage, were the pivotal point in Carthage's history. These wars, spanning over a century, from 264 to 146 BC, reshaped the face of the ancient Mediterranean world, leaving Rome as the sole superpower of the region. The causes of the Punic Wars were complex, as they often are in matters of war. They stemmed from a rivalry for dominance in the Mediterranean, with trade and territorial disputes being key factors. The First Punic War began when Rome and Carthage clashed over control of Sicily. Rome emerged victorious, and Sicily became the first Roman province. Importantly, this war saw the rise of Rome as a formidable naval power, capable of challenging Carthage's maritime dominance. The Second Punic War, also known as Hannibal's War, is perhaps the most famous of the 3. It was marked by the audacious journey of the Carthaginian general, Hannibal Barca, who led his army across the Alps to attack Rome. Hannibal's tactics were revolutionary. His victory at the Battle of Cannae in 216 BC is still studied in military academies today. Yet despite his initial success, Hannibal was unable to capture Rome. Enter Scipio Africanus, a Roman general who turned the tide of the war. He decided to take the fight to the enemy, invading Carthage itself. At the Battle of Zama in 22 BC, Scipio defeated Hannibal, marking the end of the Second Punic War. Carthage was forced to surrender its territories, disarm its navy, and pay a massive war indemnity. The Third Punic War, a much shorter and less dramatic conflict, was essentially a siege of Carthage by Rome. The Romans, fearing the resurgence of their old adversary, decided to finish it once and for all. Despite a heroic resistance, Carthage fell in 146 BC. The city was razed, its walls torn down, and its fields allegedly sown with salt to ensure nothing would grow there again. The outcomes of the Punic Wars were monumental. Rome's victory solidified its position as the dominant power in the Mediterranean. It gained vast new territories and wealth, setting the stage for its transformation into an empire. For Carthage, the results were devastating. It lost its empire, its wealth, and eventually its existence. The roles of key figures such as Hannibal and Scipio Africanus were crucial in these wars. Hannibal, with his daring strategies and indomitable will, personified the spirit of Carthage. He is remembered as one of the greatest military minds in history. On the other side, Scipio Africanus, the conqueror of Hannibal, displayed exceptional leadership and strategic brilliance. His victories laid the foundation for Rome's eventual dominance of the Mediterranean. Yet the Punic Wars were more than just a series of battles. They were a clash of cultures, economies, and political systems. They marked the struggle between the established maritime power of Carthage and the rising continental power of Rome. This struggle reshaped the ancient world, setting the stage for the rise of the Roman Empire and the spread of its culture across Europe. The Punic Wars ended with the total defeat of Carthage. But what led to its downfall? As we delve into the next chapter, we will explore the factors that contributed to the fall of this once mighty city. From internal strife to external threats, the demise of Carthage was a complex process that offers us valuable insights into the rise and fall of civilizations. By the way, if you are an educator, a parent with homeschooled children, or even just an avid history enthusiast who enjoys fun, engaging, hands-on history lessons, then History Unboxed might just be for you. History Unboxed provides stimulating packaged history lessons for all ages and learning abilities. Simply click the link in the description below to browse the various plans and have these fun and stimulating lessons shipped right to your door. Now, let's get back to the video, shall we? The fall of Carthage was a consequence of its defeat in the Punic Wars, but there were deeper underlying causes. Just as Rome had its internal issues, so too did Carthage. Its political structure was a complex mix of democracy and oligarchy. a balance that proved increasingly difficult to maintain. The wealthy merchant class held significant sway, often at the expense of the common people. This led to internal strife, with the lower classes feeling marginalized and disenfranchised, a rift that weakened the city-state from within. Meanwhile, the economy of Carthage was teetering on the brink. Its wealth was built on trade, but the loss of Sicily and Sardinia to Rome in the First Punic War dealt a significant blow. These islands were not only vital trading posts, but also provided much-needed grain to feed the populace. Without them, Carthage was in a precarious position, economically and socially. Perhaps the most devastating blow, however, was the loss of its navy. Carthage was a maritime power, its ships the lifeblood of its economy and the cornerstone of its military might. But the Second Punic War saw this navy decimated by Rome. With its maritime power diminished, Carthage was left vulnerable. The final nail in the coffin was the siege of Carthage. It was a brutal, protracted affair that began in 149 BC and lasted for 3 years. Rome, in its determination to end the Carthaginian threat once and for all, laid waste to the city. The historian Polybius tells us that Rome was thorough in its destruction. Buildings were razed, walls were torn down, and the ground was reportedly salted to prevent anything from growing again. In the end, in the year 146 before Christ, Carthage fell. The city that had once been a beacon of wealth and power in the Mediterranean was reduced to smoldering ruins. Its population was either killed or sold into slavery, its culture and knowledge scattered to the winds. The once vibrant city was silent, its streets empty, and its harbors devoid of the ships that had once been its pride and joy. But even in its destruction, Carthage left an indelible mark on history. Its struggle against Rome laid the groundwork for future conflicts between East and West. Its culture, though scattered, influenced societies far beyond its borders, and its memory lived on, a haunting reminder of the transience of power and the inevitability of change. The once mighty city-state had fallen, but the legacy of Carthage lived on. Although it was destroyed, Carthage left a lasting imprint on the pages of history. Its culture, commerce, and military tactics have rippled through time, influencing countless subsequent civilizations. The Carthaginians were great merchants and mariners, their trade networks extending across the Mediterranean and beyond. Their commercial acumen was admired and emulated by successive generations of traders and entrepreneurs. In fact, their seafaring prowess and innovative ship designs set the standard for maritime commerce for centuries to come. Carthaginian culture was rich and vibrant, a melting pot of influences from the Mediterranean and African continents. They were known for their religious practices, architecture, and art, which were distinctive yet deeply interconnected with the wider Mediterranean world. Their unique blend of traditions has left an indelible mark on the cultural tapestry of North Africa and the Mediterranean. Their military strategies, particularly those employed during the Punic Wars, have been studied and respected by military tacticians throughout history. The genius of Hannibal Barca, who dared to cross the Alps with his army to attack Rome, is still hailed in military academies around the world. His audacity and tactical brilliance have served as an inspiration for generals and leaders, reminding them that audacious strategies often yield the most stunning victories. Archaeological remains of Carthage still stand today, a testament to the grandeur of this once great city. The ruins of the ancient city, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, continue to fascinate archaeologists, historians, and tourists alike. The remnants of the Punic ports, the Byrsa Hill, the Tophet, all whisper tales of a civilization that once rivaled the mighty Rome. These archaeological treasures provide valuable insights into Carthaginian life, from their urban planning to their religious practices. Carthage's legacy extends into literature and popular culture as well. From Gustave Flaubert's historical novel Salammbô to the modern-day video game series Total War, Carthage has been a source of intrigue and inspiration. Its history has been retold, reimagined, and reinterpreted in countless books, movies, and games, reflecting our enduring fascination with this ancient civilization. Carthage's story is one of triumph and tragedy, of rise and fall. It is a story of a civilization that dared to challenge the might of Rome and paid a heavy price for it. Yet its legacy lives on, not in the form of an empire, but in the enduring influence of its culture, commerce, and military tactics. Indeed, Carthage's influence extends far beyond its historical lifespan. It has permeated through the ages, shaping the course of history in subtle yet significant ways. The echoes of Carthage are still heard today in our commerce, our culture, and our understanding of the ancient world. From its rise to its fall, the story of Carthage is a testament to the transient nature of power and the enduring influence of culture. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to support the channel by liking and subscribing so you never miss an episode. We are the Minutemen of History.